All right, Scott, you ready to roll?
I am ready.
All right, let's call our meeting to order. Welcome to our special meeting, September 3, 2020 at 3:30 in the afternoon, our special Metro Management Council meeting. Thanks for all the Metro Management members for making this work on your schedules. I will go ahead and read the roll just to, because we have several joining us on the phone, but to let everybody know that we do have a quorum. So Councilor Kiley?
Here.
Councilor Erickson?
Here.
Commissioner Benninga?
Here.
And Commissioner Karski.
Here.
All right, so we got all 5 of the Metro Management Council members here. So we do have quorum. We'll take a look at our agenda. I just need a motion then to approve our agenda for today.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Kiley and seconded by Benninga to approve that. We'll have to do a roll call vote on everything today because of the phone. So, Councilor Kiley,
Yes.
Councilor Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Benninga,
Aye.
and Commissioner Karski,
Aye.
and I am an aye. So that is passes 5-0. So, move on to public input. We got anybody here for public input today? Not seeing any. So we will move on to one of 2 main items today. Item 3, which is the Metro Communications Agency facilities discussion and consent to the joint public safety answering point agreement between the city of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. And Scott is here to start walking us through that. So welcome, Scott.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and councilors. Today, we are here to give you a short presentation on the Public Safety Answering Point Joint Building Proposal. What this will do is create a great partnership between Minnehaha County, the City of Sioux Falls, and it'll create a partnership and shared space between the Sioux Falls Police Department and Sioux Falls Fire Rescue and Metro Communications. The next slide here is a pictorial of what that public safety training campus will look like from a high-level view. You can see that there's an emergency vehicle operations course, there's a streetscape section, there's a gun range, a maintenance facility, and then a public classroom administration section to that. In this slide, you can see that on the west end of that administration classroom building is an area that's highlighted in blue that is intended to be the Metro Communications space at the Public Training Safety Campus. This slide here shows a parking lot with about 40 spaces in it, and again, the west end of that administration building that Metro Communications would occupy. Here's a more detailed picture of the area that Metro Communications would occupy. The green space is specific to Metro Communications. The yellow space is space that would be shared space between Metro Communications, the Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, and Sioux Falls Police Department. It comes up to about 16,156 square foot for Metro Communications and about 1,600 square foot for shared space. It's a little bit difficult to see this diagram without going through each section of it, but it does include the administration space for Metro, the floor space as we call it, which is where the call takers are, and then an area for server room equipment and then a training room and also a delivery area. With that, I'd like to turn it over to City Finance Officer Sean Pritchett to discuss the funding for this project.
Thanks, Scott. Afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon. Sean Pritchett, I'm the Director of Finance with the City of Sioux Falls. I'm going to kind of walk you through the finalized proposed project funding for the PSAP joint facility, and then talk a little bit about the joint building agreement that has been drafted between the City of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. Before that, I do want to give a couple of thanks, particularly to Scott, who has been working with us throughout this project, but also to Kim in the auditor's, county auditor's office, and Carol Muller, the county administrative officer, and Drew with the attorney's office here at the county. They've been very valuable in helping to draft this joint powers agreement and then discussions throughout this process. So with that, just going to kind of roll through the slides here a little bit. Some of this information is information that we shared as part of the joint meeting between the City of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. However, there's been some minor changes here that I do want to highlight. So the total project for the joint public safety answering point or Metro 911 facility is just over $10 million. That's a little bit down, about just under $250,000 down from where we had talked to previously. A lot of that has been in reductions in the equipment side, in particular the radios, some negotiations and some further pricing that we were able to work with some vendors to provide that Scott took the lead on. Was able to reduce some of that expense. And so that has flown through or kind of followed through in terms of the overall total project cost. Again, we didn't include any land as a portion of this, so the city is acquiring all of the land but didn't incorporate that as part of the PSAP costs. It's about $1 million for design. There's about $5.6 million for construction, just about $850,000 for contingency, and then the furniture, fixtures, and equipment is about $2.45 million overall. In talking with county administrative staff, one of the things we kind of discussed is both the split of the cost between the city and the county, but also from an administrative perspective, what's going to make the most sense in terms of when the financing would be coming in terms of the city and the county, as well as just the administrative ease in terms of the overall facility. Obviously, this is part of a broader, about $50 million project for the public safety facility, and the PSAP comprises just a portion of that classroom building. So in talking with the county, what we had kind of provided as a proposal bringing forward for the county and the city's consideration is that the city would take the lead in terms of the cost and the construction of the PSAP. So that portion being about $6.49 million for the construction plus the $850,000 contingency. Also, in terms of the FF&E, the city would pick up two components that were part of that figure for a total of about $305,000. That includes the communications tower and then the UPS backup. And the UPS system power backup, because it becomes sort of a fixture of the facility itself, it made sense for the city as owner of the facility to be purchasing that. And then the communications tower piece we would lease back as part of our lease of the facility back to Metro Communications Council. But there may be some opportunities. We're not aware of any currently yet. Its primary purpose would be for Metro 911, but there may be some other opportunities for utilization of that communications tower in the future. As far as the county contribution, the discussion had been that the county's contribution would come in cash and it would come in 2022. From a timing perspective and just from a cash perspective, it made sense for the county's contribution to come in the form of the FF&E because that wouldn't most of that wouldn't necessarily need to be acquired until 2022. So working with your staff, the availability of those funds in early 2022, the county's contribution would be approximately $2.15 million, and that is, again, down about $240,000 related to some of those reductions in the equipment costs. Historically, between the city and the county, we have had that 75%, 25% split between the two entities. And as part of those discussions, we also had talked about the fact that we would continue to utilize the existing PSAP or a portion of the existing PSAP as a backup center, and that was one of the primary reasons for moving forward with this project. So we had that condition or that contingency of a backup center in the case of a really severe weather or other emergency event. So that has previously been leased by the county to Metro Communications. I think that current lease is approximately $51,000 or so on an annualized basis with escalators for CPI. And so in discussions with that, the request was made to reduce the cost of that lease for the backup center starting in 2023 for a 10-year period. That's a reduction of about $27,500. There is some reduction in space there as well because of the need for the administrative offices and so forth. But that has a contributory value of about $275,000 over that 10-year period. And collectively, between those contributions from the county as well as the city, we're very close. Essentially, we're at that 76-24 split. So we're very close in terms of what our historical sharing of the cost for Metro 911 has been in the past. The next slide just gives you a little bit more of a breakdown then of the city's contribution of $7.85 million and how that lays out between the design, construction, and the FF&E for the tower and the UPS backup. And then the county's contribution, the $2.15 million for the equipment. Most of that is the radio system. It is the most expensive component of that, and that's where some of that savings was achieved in terms of where the thought would be on the cost for those functions. But then the consoles, the furniture, the other miscellaneous technology, and then also includes a small $80,000 contingency. Just in talking with county administrative staff, they felt a little bit comfortable, at least having a small contingency in there. Granted that you were a couple years away from acquiring that equipment, so there could be some small price escalations there between now and when that equipment would be acquired, mostly in 2022. But again, the primary portion of that, the radio systems, that's another item on your agenda for this afternoon, and locking down that price will be of a great benefit to this particular project. The joint building agreement, so the intent is to bring this forward to the Sioux Falls City Council, and that the County Commission, I believe, would also take this into consideration at each of your next official and regular meetings on September 8th. And so I believe a copy of that has been provided to you. This has been reviewed by the city legal department as well as the county legal. Essentially what that does is it establishes the timing as well as the breakdown for the project costs and the responsibilities for that, again, with the city on the building construction side and with the county with cash contributed in early 2022 for the FF&E. It also provides for the county putting some servers or personal property within the facility, so it would be a city-owned facility, but I think the intent of that server room, which is necessary for the Metro 911, would have a dual purpose of providing an opportunity for county servers as a backup center, as well as the city as well. And so those provisions were included as part of the joint building agreement. And then finally, just most of it is standard language that we've had in previous county and city partnership agreements, including insurance clauses and so forth. So there's also that provision that if in discussions with the county, the intent would be that the funds from the county would be given to Metro Communications, and Metro Communications would actually buy the equipment. From a process standpoint, this works very well because the equipment would become the property of Metro Communications, but there's a provision within that joint building agreement that any unused funds would be returned to the county. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions. Oh, excuse me, I do have one more slide. And just to kind of give you a highlight, big picture highlight of the time frame. As I said, today we're asking for a motion to consent to this. So the Metro Communications is not a party to the agreement, but they are consenting to it, obviously, because of your involvement within the Metro Communications Agency. September 8th, we're hoping to have the city and county move forward in consideration of the joint building agreement. In addition, the city would be bringing forward the second reading of the ordinance for the public safety bonding that would finance this facility, including the PSAP. That passed on first reading on September 1st, so it will be up for second reading on September 8th. We hope to close on the real estate by the end of this year. We will be working through annexation and zoning for this property in the first part of 2021. Once the city of Sioux Falls moves forward with approval of the bond, hopefully next week, we can begin the design phase and funding the design phase. That's about an 8-month process, and then about 2 months for bidding and award. There would be approximately 18 to 24-month construction period. We are looking to have probably 2 substantial completion dates. The first priority would be the classroom building and the PSAP, so that we can get that up and running, and we're hopeful that that could be done by the end of 2022. And then the rest of the public safety facility would be the second substantial completion date, and hopeful that that would be done in early to mid-2023. So with that, I'd happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Scott would answer any questions that you may have as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Just one question, quick question. On September 8th, we won't do that at a joint meeting, right? The fellows will take action at individual council and
At their
commission
individual
meetings?
meetings. Yep.
Okay. All right, any questions? Well, I'll start with anyone on the phone. Does anyone have any questions for Sean or for Scott on this? All right, not hearing any. Counselor Kiley, any questions for these guys?
No, I do
Okay.
not. I'm glad to be where we're at.
Yep. So I just more have a comment. I really appreciate the collaboration, the work that we've gone through with the commission. Speaking now as a city employee, but working through the commission and with the commission on this, I appreciate that work to get us get us to yes here. I think everyone's fairly comfortable on where we're landing here, and I'm just proud of the way we worked together to get this thing done. So what we would need to approve this is just a motion, a second, and what, again, we're voting on is motion to approve and consent to the joint powers agreement between the city and the county.
I move to approve.
Second, Erickson.
All right, we got a motion by Kylie and seconded by Counselor Erickson. Any final discussion with anyone on this? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Kylie,
Yes.
Counselor Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Benninga,
Yes.
Commissioner Karski,
Aye.
and I am a yes as well. So that will pass 5-0. And we'll move on to item 4, motion to authorize Metro Communications Agency Director to enter into agreement with Motorola Solutions for the purchase of radio equipment for the new public safety answering point facility. Scott.
Yes, thank you. This is a request for motion to authorize the Director of Metro Communications Agency to enter into an agreement with Motorola Solutions for the purchase of radio equipment for the new public safety answering point. This is the anticipation of Metro Communications Agency moving to the Sioux Falls Public Safety Training Campus. We initiated discussions with Motorola to obtain a budgetary quote for equipment. Motorola did provide a proposal that is subject to the terms and conditions of the South Dakota Master Purchasing Agreement between the state and Motorola, which is dated June 20th of 2009, and it's identified as Motorola Contract 09-16084 CB. Motorola has offered a discount of approximately $533,340 with the stipulation of having a purchase order signed prior to December 4th, 2020. The product will be delivered in the fall of 2021 with payment due in January of 2022. The warranty period will begin upon installation and configuration of the product. It is our intent at Metro to work with the City Finance Department and specifically the purchasing officer to make these purchases, and we will not sign any agreements without the consent of the City Finance Department.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And again, the reason we also brought this forward was the timing with Motorola not having to call another special meeting to get this approved. So
That's correct.
yeah. Okay. Very good. I'll go to the council. Any questions? Start with the phones. Any questions for Scott on this?
If I may, Mayor.
You bet.
This is probably more for Scott. This is technology, and we're not going to be installing it for some time. How often do you have to do or buy upgrades, that type of thing for equipment like this? And the life this equipment going to be, I guess, is it a 10-year? Is it 5 years? What can you tell me about the equipment?
Yes, thank you for the question, Commissioner. We are part of a statewide radio system, and we are connected to the state master site, which is located in Pierre, South Dakota. So the software version in Pierre at the master site determines what software version those agencies that are connected to that master site will be on. So in our case, we're on version 17.0, I believe it is, and Motorola provide us with that current version of the state master site. And once the state does an upgrade, the agreement has been that the state will pay for the software update as long as each agency that's connected pays for essentially the maintenance of the product. So the state is definitely picking up the larger portion of that when it comes to software maintenance. As far as how long or the longevity of the product, and speaking with Motorola, they assured us that they do not have any new product coming out beyond the MCC 7500 console, which is what we use and what the majority of the state is using. And they said that this product should well last us 10, 15 years without any concerns.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate that, Scott. And just to say, good job on getting that contract negotiated and, you know, really went to bat for, the Metro Communications and saved the taxpayers a lot of money. Thank you.
You're welcome, Commissioner, and that Metro will always do the best to try and be conservative in our finances and be respectful of tax dollars.
We'll have to call you Van McMahon if you don't watch it. You're getting tight.
Definitely known to be
tight like me.
conservative.
All right. All right. Other questions for Scott on item 4 here? All right. Not hearing any, so I would just ask for a motion to authorize Metro to enter into that agreement with Motorola.
Move to approve?
So moved. Second, Benninga.
All right. I'm going to go with Commissioner Karski and Commissioner Benninga on that for the motion in the second. And any final discussion here, Council? All right. We'll take a vote. Councilor Kiley?
Yes.
All right. Councilor Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Benninga?
Aye.
Commissioner Karski?
Aye.
And I am also an aye, so that passes 5-0. All right, I always forget, do I need a motion to enter into exec session? Is that how that works? Okay, I need to ask for a motion to enter an exec session?
Move into executive session for the purposes of and as authorized by South Dakota Codified Law 125-2, 1 and 4.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, got a second by Karski on that. We'll take a quick vote on this. Councilor Kiley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Benninga?
Aye.
Commissioner Karski?
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye. Let's see, with technology the way this is this one of those deals where if we stay in here, this will be live the whole time? So we should do exec session in the other room? Where's my tech guy? I think that's what we did last time.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
last time we went next
So
door.
we're going to do that. I'm not sure how we're going to get you back on the phone, guys, so you hang tight. We'll figure that out when we get in the other room. So I think you'll be able to hang up now, and we'll figure out how we're going to patch you 3 in exec session, then we'll be back shortly. Thank you.